Hey guys, Pitmaster here. Alright, let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of I gotta put my seatbelt on, sorry. Of UFC 229. I'm gonna invite some groups in here. Ding, ding. Ding, ding. Okay. So I invited some people in here. All right, let's talk about it. Conor got beat. That was probably the main thing of the whole card. But the funniest part of the card, without a doubt, everybody knows it, was Derek Lewis's post-fight interview where he actually took off his pants in the cage. Took them off. He had his underwear on. And Joe Rogan said, "Why'd you take your pants off?" He said, "'Cause my balls are hot." My balls are hot. He actually said that. One of the funniest things ever. He said my balls were hot. All right, let's talk about the fight. Let's talk about the main event. Let's talk about what Khabib did versus what Conor did. It was terrible. I think the worst part of that, seriously, was Khabib's buddy or someone, whoever it was, but it wasn't Khabib. Somebody jumped into the cage and punched Conor. I think that was the worst thing that happened, without a doubt. And that guy should be prosecuted. I think he should spend prison time for what he did. There was no excuse. That was the worst thing that happened, as far as I'm concerned. He should be prosecuted as a fucking common criminal. All right. Now, as for jumping out of the cage, Conor did that with Jose Aldo. Remember? Conor actually did that. You know how many fighters do that? They usually do that to celebrate, but Conor did it to attack Jose Aldo. Nobody said anything. Do you think Khabib had any idea jumping over the cage to confront one guy, another martial artist, one-on-one? He didn't throw a fucking steel dolly through a window hurting innocent people. He jumped over the cage to confront or attack one other martial artist, one-on-one. He had no idea that there was going to be a riot. The riot mentality was caused by Conor. Conor creates that, right? Conor creates those kind of scenarios. Remember at the weigh-ins when he was throwing cans into the crowd? He shoves people. He shoved Khabib at this weigh-in and threw a kick at him. Right? He creates these things. And when he does it, everybody says, yeah, he's building up. He's building up for the fight. He's creating interest for the fight. He's selling the fight. Well, Khabib jumped over the cage out of anger and frustration and whatever other reasons. But he was going after one guy, one other guy who happened to be a martial artist. So, if you're going to go down on Khabib. I didn't mean go down on Khabib.
Another topic.
That's a whole different video. Right, there wasn't. But imagine if Aldo reacted, because he ran after Aldo. If someone ran at me in that aggressive manner, I would hit them. He's lucky Aldo didn't. He assaulted Aldo and he took his belt away. He's done very physical things. We all know that. So nobody's gonna say that's what she said. Yeah. Wait. Well, you could say he's selling fights. Was he selling fights by throwing a steel dolly through a window where he didn't know who was on the other side of that window, and he actually hurt innocent people? Was that just selling a fight and not hurting anyone? He could have killed someone if there was someone sitting in that window, next to that window, where he didn't know, because it was blacked out or dark windows. So yeah, I mean, he does some crazy shit, right? So yeah, he does some crazy shit. So Khabib did something he shouldn't have done, jumped over the cage and attacked some guy. He didn't create that riot mentality. I've seen riots break out with Conor's fights before the Khabib fight. He stirs up that. I'm not saying a riot's his fault, but he stirs it up, and he knows he's doing it. So we've seen, my wife and I were at a fight once where Conor fought, and there was a riot that broke out. The SWAT team was called. They set fire to property in the MGM. I mean, and that was all because of Conor's guys. I'm not saying Conor did that, but anyway. So I don't think Khabib should be held responsible for what that guy did when he jumped in the cage and hit Conor. I think that guy should be, he's a criminal. He should be sent to prison, without a doubt. If he's not from this country, he should be sent to prison, then deported, and never let to be back in this country. Well, yeah, I think Conor should have, that should have happened to Conor. But I don't think Khabib should be held responsible for what his guy did. Just like I don't think Conor should be responsible for what his guys did to the bus, but what he did to the bus. He's the one that threw the fucking metal steel dolly through the bus. That was Conor that did that.
Flew everybody over.
Okay.
Sorry.
My wife does not like Conor. He flew everyone over from Ireland and started that whole thing. So I think it was terrible that happened yesterday. I think it was absolutely terrible. But what's up? What's up, Shane? Jackie? But for what, if you think of just what Khabib did, Khabib jumped over the cage, like a lot of people do, and he went after one other fighter. I don't know what that guy did to him, but he went after one other trained martial artist. That's what he did, period. He did not start the riot. He didn't jump in the cage and hit Conor. The guy that did that should go to fucking prison. Should go to prison, without a doubt. But this is not this should not be called mixed martial arts anymore. If they continue to allow this, the UFC does. They allow this. When John Jones got busted for steroids for like the 8th time, he should have been immediately kicked out of the UFC. The fact that they allow this to sell tickets is a travesty of the word martial art. They should take martial art and just call it mixed cage fighting. It should not be allowed to be called martial arts. It is becoming a fucking joke. There's nothing martial arts about it anymore. So I hate that happened last night. I think Khabib had a small part to it. The guy that jumped into the cage and hit Conor should be imprisoned immediately. And I think since Conor's allowed to fight again after throwing a fucking dolly through a bus, flying people over here from Ireland, and all the shit he's done, I think it's setting the stage. I think by letting John Jones fight again, it's setting the stage for this sport to not be martial artsy anymore. It's fucking cage fighting now. But I hate what happened, but I think Khabib is a small part to do it. Small part. I think jumping over the cage, which everyone does, and attacking one guy, which plenty of people have done, I think it's terrible. Yeah, it's terrible for the sport. Can you imagine doing that? Oh, I'll tell you right now. Mark Weir. We got Mark Weir here. Mark Weir is an ex-UFC fighter. He actually held the record for the fastest knockout for a while. I'll tell you right now, win, lose, or draw, Mark Weir would never do that. Never in a million years would Mark Weir do that. And it's not hard not to. But it was, yeah, they should just call it cage fighting. This shit is not even a martial art anymore. It is despicable what's going on. And Khabib, what happened was bad. Khabib took a part in it, but I think Khabib has a small part in it. If you let someone fight in the UFC after they've done steroids, do you think Franco Columbu and Arnold Schwarzenegger and Lee Haney just did steroids once before a meet? They wouldn't be where they are if it weren't for steroids. Anyone that gets busted for steroids in the UFC would not be where they are without the steroids. Do you think Jose Canseco and Sammy Sosa and Mark McGuire only took steroids that one time they got busted and it was an isolated incident? No, they would not be where they are in the home runs without the steroids. John Jones would not be where he is without the steroids. He just wouldn't. He wouldn't be where he was. These guys that take steroids, that need the steroids, would not be where they are in the game without the steroids. They don't just do it for one match. Just like Arnold just didn't do steroids for one meet, he wouldn't have gotten there without the steroids. John Jones didn't do steroids just before he fought DC. He wouldn't have gotten there without the steroids. Right? I mean, am I the only one that gets that? That's a no-brainer. If someone's doing steroids, they wouldn't have been there without he got busted for steroids too. He got busted for coke and other things, but he got busted for... Shane, have you ever seen the natural bodybuilding contest? You look like those guys. You could be in the natural... You and Mike Metzger could be in the natural bodybuilding competition. Nobody watches name me one guy who's in the natural bodybuilding competition. You couldn't name one guy because they're no good without steroids, right? Franco Columbu, Lee Haney, Arnold, all those guys, Frank Zane, they wouldn't be there without the steroids. They're the famous ones. They relied on steroids to get where they are. Sammy Sosa, Mark McGuire, Jose Canseco wouldn't be well known if it wasn't for steroids. And I'm going to say the same for any UFC fighter that's doing steroids wouldn't be where they are without the steroids. It's a fucking joke and a travesty. They should call it cage fighting. Get off the MMA. UFC, if you're not willing to turn this back into a martial art like it was in the beginning. Could you imagine Royce Gracie? Royce Gracie, the Gracies who started the UFC. They're hating this shit. This is not what they meant. I don't know. Lonnie. I don't know who's... I think anyone's innocent until proven guilty. Some of the guys that are proven guilty, you have to assume they wouldn't be where they are without the steroids. You have to do that. Because why else are they doing the steroids? Doing steroids before a fight is the exact same thing as taking a weapon into the cage. It's like wrapping your hands with a cast, with plaster. It's the same thing. There's no difference. You are cheating and you're hurting someone else by cheating. It's like taking a weapon into the cage. You wouldn't be hitting as hard as you are without the steroids. Or you wouldn't be doing the steroids. That's a no-brainer, right? Why the fuck are they doing steroids if they can do just as well without them? No, they wouldn't. So they're cheating to get in the cage, and it's like bringing a weapon in. They should be prosecuted for it, for assault. So anyway, fight. Let me tell you a good fight last night. Fucking Anthony Pettis is back. He started kind of going down a little bit, but after last night, Anthony Pettis is back, and Ferguson is a fucking beast. That was such a good fight. It's not even funny. Hey, thanks, Raven. I'm pissed. I mean, when I was watching last night, it bothers me because I'm such a martial artist. I've been around since the beginning of the UFC. I've been there, you know, and I'm a martial artist, and I love martial artists. That's my life. And when you see people that aren't acting like martial artists, they act like fucking cage fighters, criminals, and thugs, it irritates the shit out of me, especially when they're calling it a mixed martial art. They need to just call it a mixed cage fight. That was not martial arts. So, that's all I gotta say. Share this, guys. Share the word out there. All you martial artists, we should do, you know, we gotta protest this. We are martial artists. We don't want a bunch of fucking thugs wreaking havoc under the name of martial arts. That is not martial arts, and that's not why we train so hard. We are martial artists, and they named it mixed martial arts, and there's so much respect going on in mixed martial arts. But when people act like fucking common thugs under the name of mixed martial arts, UFC, you got to take you're the leader, UFC. Jump on this. If someone does a steroid, kick them out immediately. I don't care how much money they're making. You'll make it up, guys. You got the Fertitta brothers, billionaires. Kick them out immediately. If they throw a fucking steel dolly through a bus, kick them out immediately. Please. Please, guys. Bring the martial arts back to cage fighting. That's all I'm asking. Let's bring the martial arts mentality and the Bushido back to cage fighting. All right?